Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Heather and today we are going to be talking about fertilizer. We're going to be talking about which fertilizers I've been using on rotation and why is it important and why you should care. If you find videos like this informative and helpful, please hit the subscribe button and drop a comment down below and let's get right into it. Like all living things, they require food and nutrients. Plants are no exception. Now with that said, plants actually require specific types of nutrients in order for it to survive, thrive, and grow. So now you're probably wondering, which nutrients should we be looking at? Well, I'm here to break it down for you. Now, plants require several types of nutrients. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details as to which one is for what and what its purpose is. I'm just going to briefly touch upon everything. Now, with that said, I do want to make a disclaimer that I am not an expert. What works for me may not work for you, and I think it's really important that you take everything that anybody says with a grain of salt, because we all live in different environments, we all have different plants, and it all came from different areas. So just be mindful and wary of that. Now let's get into the actual bulk of fertilizer and why you're even here. Alright, so like I had mentioned, plants require nutrients. They actually require primary macronutrients, secondary macronutrients, and micronutrients. Now, we're not going to get into the micronutrients because there's just too much information and you're gonna just exit out of this video. So we're going to focus on the essentials, which is the primary macronutrients and secondary macronutrients. Now, the primary macronutrients is comprised of the NPK. I'm sure you've heard that floating around and you're probably wondering or never fully understood what is NPK. Well, NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So nitrogen is responsible for the growth of your leaves and how green your leaves are. So that means it plays a huge role in chlorophyll. Phosphorus plays a role in root system development, blooming, and fruitation. And potassium plays a role in the overall function of the plant and ensuring that the plant is using and utilizing all the nutrients correctly in order for the plants to survive. Now, when there is a deficiency in any of those elements that I had mentioned, you're going to notice some few things. For example, if your plant is deficient in nitrogen, you're going to notice that the leaves are looking kind of yellow and sad because, like I said, they play a role in making sure that your leaves are very green. So if there's nitrogen deficiency, chlorophyll isn't being produced, it's going to look yellow. If there is a deficiency in phosphorus, your plants are actually going to grow kind of funky, like the leaves are going to look irregular and it's going to change in color to like a red or a purple. Now, if you're deficient in potassium, you're going to notice that the edging on your leaves are going to look kind of crispy, kind of like it's dying. Yeah, like it's dying, but just like on the edges. So if you're deficient in any of those elements, then your plant is going to look fairly sad, in which case you might need to just cut off all the leaves, and if it still has a fair enough root system, you can try to bring it back to life, or take a cutting of whatever it is that you can and rehab that plant, and hopefully in a few weeks it'll start to grow for you when you provide enough sunlight and it has enough nutrients and root system for you. Moving on to secondary macronutrients, that comprises of calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. I'm not going to talk about sulfur because it's not something that I really looked up. That's just the honest truth. But I did, however, look up calcium and magnesium. Calcium in humans plays a huge role in structural growth and development, such as bones, teeth, hair, nails. Obviously, plants don't have that, but they do have a cell wall. Now, a healthy cell wall is going to provide the plant structure. It's going to be more rigid, and it's going to be able to withstand nature. If it can't withstand nature, it's just going to snap off and die. It's the truth. But calcium plays a huge role in the healthy development of cell walls. So if the cell wall is healthy, it's going to be able to absorb all the nutrients, send it to the roots, send it back up to the leaves, and continue this cycle of photosynthesis. Magnesium plays a huge role in enzyme production in plants, meaning it takes part in chlorophyll and photosynthesis. So if there's a deficiency in magnesium, you're probably not going to notice too much of a difference. You're just going to be wondering, could that plant be more green? That's That's what I was wondering when my dark form gloriosum was kind of fading in color, because I figured it could be more green, but it was kind of looking kind of faded. But I digress. Magnesium plays a role in the enzyme production of chlorophyll, and like I said, everything works in synergy, so everything works together, which is why you require primary macronutrients and secondary macronutrients. And like I said, we're not going to get into micronutrients because that video will get way too long. All right, so now that all that scientific talk is out of the way, let's get into which fertilizer I ended up using when I first started out as a new houseplant parent. Now, it's a fairly embarrassing story because I recall standing in front of MaxiGrow and was like, holy crap, I need to call a friend. There's different ratios and I'm forgetting what they all mean, and will my plant even react kindly to it? Now, mind you, I did call a friend and she reminded me that I had to look at my plants, and I'm going to tell you, you need to look at your plants. Your plants are going to tell you what it needs, despite what the ratios are. If you want to play it safe, I would say just get a balanced fertilizer, like a 333 or a 666. The higher the number just means there's more concentration of it, so you just need to dilute it some more. But in any case, get a balanced one if you want to play it safe. But take a look at your plants. If your plant is looking kind of yellow means that it's deficient in nitrogen. Maybe consider getting a fertilizer that has more nitrogen in it. If it has big green leaves but the root system is kind of not so great, then get something that has more phosphorus in it. It's as easy as that. You just need to look at your plant. But obviously, when we're importing plants or we're starting off with our collection, all of our plants are looking different and they're all in different stages. So maybe stick with a balanced fertilizer to kind of start and then graduate onto something else, like I did. So when I had graduated to a different type of fertilizer, I actually started using the General Hydroponics, the 3-part system from the Flora series. And honestly, I think everybody who starts using semi-hydro goes on to this type of fertilizer because it's just super easy. There's a chart for you to follow and they break it down for you, so you don't have to do too much thinking. The only thing that you need to be mindful of is just the pH level and to flush when you need to flush, because there's like calcium and nutrient buildup. Now with that said, there is a very specific way that you are supposed to mix your concoction. You should actually be adding the Flora Micro first, and then you can add either the Bloom or the Grow. It doesn't matter which order you put the other two in, but the first order is actually the Flora Micro. That needs to go in first. Now with that said, when you're adding these nutrients into your water, the pH level is going to fluctuate. Now if you're not using distilled water, you're gonna have to get one of these pH monitors. I think I bought this off Amazon. You just stick it in and you just want to make sure that your pH level is between 5.5 and 6.5. If you're using distilled water, I have noticed that it doesn't fluctuate too much, which was nice. So I only had to do it one time and I didn't have to pull this out ever again. So using distilled water is something that you might want to consider using if you're going to go this route. So now with that said, I no longer use that 3-part system simply because I'm a lazy person. It required too much work for me. I understand that you only need to pipette like 3 times and mix everything up. But you know, when you have to go to the store and buy distilled water or have jugs of distilled water on hand so that you can water your plants, it's cumbersome. I don't have the time for that. I really don't. So I started using this. This is the General Hydroponics MaxiGrow. You can see that the NPK is 10, 5, and 14. I have no idea why this is so hard to find in Canada. I think at one point it was like not FDA approved in Canada, so I had it shipped in from the States, but I bought 2 of them because I knew it was very hard to find. And honestly, I had really good results with my plants by using this because my gloriosum was huge. The leaves were bigger than my head. They were so dark and velvety, and my fiddle leaf fig was also putting off so many leaves. Like at this point, I actually stopped fertilizing my fiddle leaf fig because she's getting too tall and I'm kind of concerned what I'm going to do because I really don't want to chop her her branches off. I'll have to figure something out. But in any case, this stuff is great. You only need a little bit into your jug and it dissolves very fast and very quickly, and then just water your plants and watch it grow. And then I started experimenting and I stopped using this for a little bit and I started using this liquid dirt. I've used this for about 4 weeks now, and so far it doesn't really bring me that much joy. It really doesn't. I don't know if it's because I started using this closer to the fall and winter time where the growing season is no longer there, but it just doesn't do it for me. It really doesn't. It has all the good stuff in it. Like, it has 18 concentrated ingredients, balanced vitamins, minerals with micro, fungi, and bioorganisms. I mean, it really does have all these like fancy stuff in here, but it's just not doing it for my plants. I don't know what it is, but I found that I had better results with this guy over this. So I'm just gonna finish using this and then I'll go back to this for the growing season. Now, earlier I had mentioned calcium and magnesium as something that I do use on a regular basis, and this is the brand that I use, the Senzi Cal Mag Extra. This stuff is great. I have noticed that when I use this in conjunction with the liquid dirt, there's good results, but when I was only using the MaxiGrow, I didn't have to use this and I still had great results. So I think in terms of convenience, this is the way to go. And if you're feeling kind of sciencey, maybe these two will be great, but like I said, I'm a fairly lazy person. The fact that I even have to mix two things together is too much work for me. So when these are done, I'm going back to this. So if you follow me on my Instagram or you've seen my previous videos, you've already seen me talk about this HB 101. And I just want to say that this is not a fertilizer. It's actually a revitalizer. And what that actually means is that it supports the plant in encouraging a better root system and encouraging the plants to kind of like perk up and wake up. So this could actually be used in conjunction with your fertilizers, but I exclusively only use this for my imports or for plants that don't really have a great root system yet, because this is supposed to help perk it up, which means I only use this for rehab plants, imports, or semi-hydro plants that are just fresh and going into semi-hydro. So if you're just using this in semi-hydro, you probably won't see as great of a result because it's not a fertilizer. It's just a revitalizer. So if you're doing semi-hydro, you still need to add fertilizer. So any of these that I had mentioned would be great. Obviously, this one is a little bit more challenging if your roots are still very fragile and they don't look very established, because it's very hard to control the concentration of fertilizer because you don't want to burn your roots. So you might want to consider going the three-part system so that you can control how much fertilizer you're putting in so that you don't burn your roots. But once it establishes itself, you're good to go with any of these two. At least in my experience, that's what I've been doing. And I think that's all for today. If you found this helpful, again, please hit the subscribe button and drop a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!